Joining us for the first time this year to preview what's in here and major international trends that affect us nationally is former ACT MP, councillor, regional councillor, lawyer and businesswoman Hilary Calvert, and she joins us now. Hilary, sorry honey, I didn't realise you were waiting in the ante-room. Welcome to the show. Welcome to 2025.
Good afternoon, Michael.
Listen, couple of things I'm interested in. I've just recently seen, published by the Telegraph, this is the UK Telegraph newspaper, middle of the road, isn't it, the Telegraph? A trend on terms of the political left versus the political right in Western democracies. And what it shows is that the left parties of the United States of America, Democrats, the Liberals in Canada, I guess the Labour Party in both Australia and New Zealand, or also the UK, the socialist parties of Europe, the Social Democrats, for example, of Germany, etc. They were in ascendancy for the first decade of 2000 to 2010. In other words, more people voted for the left than for the right. But steadily since about 2014, 2015, the global average share of the left is at its lowest for almost 30 years. And that centre-right and right-wing parties are enjoying their strongest public support in over 30 years. Did you catch up with that?
I did, and I caught up with something that Tim Schweitzer, is it?
Yep.
From the Centre for Independent Studies had, and he suggested 4 reasons for why that might be. I thought we could have a wee wander through some of these and see if
because the suggestion is that as at the time that our media in particular have decided to become more and more left in terms of their presentation and of their personalities, the exact inversely proportional is happening in terms of political support in Western democracies over the last 10 years. So why would that be? What is the number one reason you think that might be?
Well, what Tim's suggesting is it's the economy, stupid, as we always would think. But the economy, of course, is tied into the other things as well. So it was all very well during COVID for a wee while because everybody just did what they needed to do. And now that COVID's finished, we've got economic people just feeling poor, really. It's not just, remember a while ago, the Greeks in Athens, there was this big street march, and it was a march against being poor. And I thought, well, that's
when Germany decided to be beastly and not lend them any more money, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. And because they said, before we lend you any more money, you have to stop retiring at 60 instead of what the rest of us have to do, and you've got to stop 30% of your market, that being a black market thing, so as most people are working under the table, sort of. So at that stage I thought, well, good luck marching against being poor, but that's the feeling, is that people aren't. So the number one reason Tim gives is declining living standards and high interest rates and things, and people not feeling very well off. And we've had this, maybe why it's been happening for a while, the left decline, is because we've had this long period of stability, no major wars and things, and the world's been getting better and better off. And that means it could afford to have lofty ideas about what to spend money on, because we had to spare money all over the place, sort of. And maybe since the 2014 or whatever you said, it started to be feel less like that to people, and they probably don't think about that directly, but I wonder whether it's because we are now becoming more and more conscious of what we can't afford.
Yes, and I mean, we've had that discussion this morning with Professor Macy, for example, from Victoria University, about climate change policies, and as they impact and affect New Zealanders and they hit you in the back pocket and you're paying more and getting poorer as a consequence of those policies, you are going to start to resist, aren't you?
Yes, and that's Tim's third reason why the shift is happening is a backlash against what he describes as ambitious climate change policies favoured by progressive governments. And he's pointing to, and of course everybody points to the thing that proves their case, the Germany AfD, are they? Campaigning against renewable energy. I'm not sure whether they're actually for keeping on doing other things or they're actually against. I can't see how you can be sort of against renewable energy, and the Canadian Conservative Party leader who is vowing to scrap Trudeau's carbon tax, and Trudeau's, not just himself, but his party is in the gutter at the moment. So that's his. And those two things, of course, the carbon stuff and the economy, are both intricately connected and will be, if our government has a bit of sense when it starts talking about what it's doing about climate change, and the left, if I was them, I'd try and back the left into a corner so as that they say, we will follow our commitments to climate change, so as that the coalition government can say, that will cost us X billion dollars. Where's that money coming from? So that's what I'd do if I was a coalition government. I'd set them up for saying that they would do things that the people would see how connected to the economy that was, and whatever you would do with it. I think that would be a smart thing.
Going back to your original thesis that it's the economy, stupid, and of course it always is, that the cost of living is something that has impacted seriously upon, I think, most Western economies and obviously democracies. But just last week, the Taxpayers Union Courier poll was released, the first poll of this year. They poll every month. And it had bad news for the National Party there, in the sense that for the very first time since the election, they've actually fallen behind the Labour Party, who've done nothing, obviously, over the last 15 months, in terms of popular support. And the suggestion from that Taxpayer Union Courier poll was that it is because that New Zealanders believe that National in particular are unresponsive or do not have sufficient policies to be able to address that cost of living problem in New Zealand. Do you think that's a legitimate criticism?
I think that the coalition government has spent the last year running and doing a whole lot of things that it wanted to do, which it always does when a new government comes in, and none of them have actually had any results yet. They would take a while anyway, and presumed to do them first year out so as that they could show some results later, but they were never going to show results and economic things together with others by the end of last year. And people sat around over Christmas, I think, and thought, fuck, I voted for change. Where's the change?